think outside the box, if you will. I mean, go there, go off campus. Let's think this through. And sure enough, that's where the Mustang was born. When it finally hit, it took the country by storm.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Cars in Context. I'm your host, John Clor. You know, this is the Motor City, and this is the show where we put cars into the context of your everyday life. You know, we'd sure like to get you on the inside of the automotive industry, but we're not going to make any explanations or apologies for our decidedly Detroit perspective today. We've got a great show for you today. We're going to reveal the inside workings of a scam that's being perpetuated on the American driving public, not only all over the United States, but right here in our own area. And to do that, we've got none other than one of our favorite guests, Chris Sawyer. Chris, welcome back to Cars in Context.
John, how are you?
Chris is founder and editor of really the best blog on the internet today. I mean, let's just cut right to the chase. TheVirtualDriver.com.
How much I owe you for that anyway?
No, The Virtual Driver, if you haven't been there, you have to visit it. It's really a great site, but Chris is going to get us some of the inside information on this thing called the red light cameras and the red light camera scam that's going on. But before we do that, folks, let's find out what's happening in the news. And Chris, I will start out with this one.
Good, because it says John, so go ahead.
I know, okay. I've got a study from AAA, and I like a lot of the AAA studies, that says that using these hands-free devices that we think is going to make us safe in our cars, to talk on the phone while we're driving, you know, they're not as safe as you may think. In fact, yeah, researchers, they monitored the driver's brain waves.
Oh, good luck with that.
And the eye movements, you know, put the little sensors on you, and they wanted to find out what things distract our driving the most. And the study found that things like listening to the radio, even if the music is loud, that's not really that distracting. But talking on the cell phone, even with your little hands-free device, is somewhat distracting. It was a moderate risk, they rated it. But researchers found that using voice-activated features, like listening to your emails and then responding with your voice without even taking your hands off the wheel, if it's a text or just answering a text, even voice-activated, was downright dangerous. The study said that drivers need to be better educated about using these devices, and that these features, like, you know, spoken features, should be limited to things like, you know, climate control, turn on the cruise control, things like that.
And Star Trek movies.
So,
well, we did this back in our Auto Week days. Tom Leikert wrote that story.
Well, long ago.
Oh, it was in the 80s. Let's.
We talked, and when they first started to talk about people talking on the phone in their car.
And even then, they knew that talking to somebody in the car added a second to your response time. And a second at 60 miles an hour is a lot of feet.
Yeah, you might wind up
in the back of the car in front of you and the one in front of him.
By the way, folks, so probably the best news editor, not only Auto Week, but any automotive magazine, was Chris Sawyer. Well, Chris,
I owe you a lot of money.
No, why don't you take one here?
Okay. Well, I've got a study too.
Oh, we like studies.
This obviously, I didn't study in school, but anyway, this comes to the Diesel Technology Forum and R.L. Polk, and it says diesel registrations are up 25% between 2010 and 2012.
In just 2 years?
2 years, yep. But hybrids grew at a faster pace.
What?
33%.
Yeah,
but you've got 46 different hybrid choices and only 27 diesels.
That's amazing. There's that many different hybrids to choose from nowadays.
Oh yeah, and there's going to be a lot more.
Unbelievable.
And the study also shows there are a lot more diesels on the road than hybrids, with diesel passenger car registrations in the U.S. 6.6 million compared to 2.3 million for all the hybrids.
That's almost 3 times as many diesels than even though there are more choices.
Forever.
Well, folks, you know, you think that was the big answer. I guess diesels have been around longer too.
They've been around longer. People hold on to them. If you have a diesel and you've had it and you enjoy that thing, you're not going to get rid of it. There's something about diesels that is just very seductive.
There's a cult following for diesels here in the Grosse Points, but I mean, plus
there's a lot of cult followings in the Grosse Points. We won't get into that.
No, we're not gonna, that's a different show. But we're gonna. But
this week in cults.
Let's face it, people and then when they sell them, they generally hold.
They hold on to them. They hold their value. If you take care of a diesel, VW had a deal. Or my dealer, in fact. A guy that would buy them every 8 years, he took really good care of them. At the end of the 8 years, he would get 80% of what he paid for the car back.
Yeah. And how much will you get on a resale of a battery or electric?
Oh, at the end of, if it's anywhere near the 8th or 10th year, unless if it's not one of those cars that has
not
a
sure.
lifetime battery replacement that is transferable.
Right.
The
You
value
don't really
drops
know that.
off.
That's another thing. You really don't know.
Yeah.
All right, listen. How about this one, folks? Did you see our show that we called "What Happened to Small Pickups"?
I did. I was sitting right here.
Well, you know why? Because he was on the show. This was we did that together. Well, we talked about the death of the small pickup market and what's wrong with our automakers not making it. Well, guess what? It looks like General Motors was watching Cars in Context on WMTV.
About time.
Yeah. In fact, we don't want to be limited just to buying a Toyota Tacoma or a Nissan Frontier.
No, because I always feel like Marty McFly when I'm driving a Tacoma.
That's right. So,
Can't explain
so
it.
what's happened is General Motors has recently announced they are going to come out with a new mid-size pickup, not necessarily a small pickup, and they already have. They're going to have 2 trucks, they think. And one of them is going to be
for
a
GMC, man.
yeah, they're going to do it's kind of like a refresh of that old Colorado that they build in Thailand right now. They already have
the Colorado, yeah.
yeah, and so they're gonna and they build it in Thailand. It's kind of a funky truck. It's just looks different than what we expect our trucks to look like. But it's called a midsize, Chris. It's not called a
Oh, so it's sort of like the Ford Ranger is in Europe.
big.
but
Yeah,
not-
bigger than
not
the
quite that
old
big.
Ranger. Right,
Yeah.
right. Bigger than the old Ranger, but smaller than a full size. And I believe, like, as we talked on the show, I believe something like this truck could, I mean, not necessarily this particular truck, maybe if it has features, they say they're going to give them new powertrains, which will give them better fuel economy than the small trucks in the market. Folks, something like this could really sell.
Absolutely.
Which we pointed out in our show.
Absolutely. If somebody's always got something to haul, you'll have more friends than you ever know when you have a pickup truck.
That's right. I'm moving. So, but if you wanted to catch that show, you can watch Cars in Context TV on YouTube and catch what happened to small pickups. Chris, why don't you give us another?
Well, okay. Cybersecurity, hot topic.
Really?
Yes.
In the news?
Yeah, the NSA, they're
Yeah.
listening to us right now. And National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is paying attention.
Yeah.
Bloomberg reports that the agency has created a new office to make sure that cars can't get hacked.
Wait a minute.
We already showed you that cars can get hacked.
Yeah, they have computers in them, so.
Well, yeah, and it's tough. I mean, they're moving. It's hard
Well,
to
how
do.
will NHTSA guarantee?
They can't. You can do a really good job of, I mean, most people are not, they're not going to get hacked by somebody who's going to steal their identity. Most people don't.
No, your
despite what you
car.
think in their on TV ads.
So what are they
But
going to do?
most of your cars won't. But they're going to have to put some encryption in, even greater than they have now.
So the
I learned something that was really odd the other day, and it just blew me away. That there are 10 times more lines of code in the average passenger car than there are in an average fighter jet.
unbelievable.
So when you think about it, when we're about going in the next, well, between now and 2025, around that time, we're going to have somewhere upwards of 250 million lines of code in a car.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Folks, this is a real big topic, and of course, not only in the headlines, but can you imagine someone hacking into your car and disrupting how it operates, especially if it was a disgruntled employee or a former girlfriend or boyfriend? And yeah, so that's really nasty. And if you wanted to watch our show on Next Tech Talking Cars, so you can see that on our YouTube channel as well. Listen, speaking of the NHTSA, I got a story about NHTSA.
What are they doing now?
Well, we talked about the autonomous cars, the self-driving cars. I hate the idea. I've been on record here on the show saying that I'm not fond of it. But NHTSA has now, they're really struggling to trying to get their arms around how do they regulate the self-driving cars. So now they've come out with a proposal saying only testing purposes and for, they don't want to allow these cars on public roads. But as you might have guessed, Chris, it's too late, folks.
They're
That's
already
because
there.
some communities have said it's okay.
Well,
They've already,
Nevada's already got a plate for it.
right, they've already had regulations allowing them.
Right, and you will have in 2015, you will have Super Cruise on the Cadillac, which takes you up to the point just short of autonomous driving.
Oh, gosh.
It will be able to go to a complete stop in stop-and-go traffic on cruise control. It will be able to start back up again. There's going to be some minor brake intervention and some minor steering intervention.
Unbelievable.
But I've already driven these cars. I've been in the autonomous cars. It's spooky as hell. The guy from one of the suppliers told me, I said, was there a problem when you went back to driving a regular car? And he says, yeah, because I started answering texts on my phone and realized, oh crap, I'm driving this thing.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to be on board with this one. If you really want to just sit
But
on,
let me tell you, a lot of the auto technologists want you to have this, and the really scary part is, my brother Jim, who's been on the show, was talking to one of them who said, It's for your own good.
Yeah.
Now that's the part that
Anytime
should
somebody
scare the
sells,
hell out of you right
and
there.
here's my problem also with NHTSA. These guys were so fast on technology. Remember the years-long battle back in the 70s when they had to study whether changing from a round headlight to a square headlight might cause us all to die?
Exactly. And they wouldn't even
No
let us have
thanks.
halogen headlights.
Yeah, no thanks. Stay out of that one. Well, folks, that's
What does
our.
Ronald Reagan say? Nine most dangerous words in the world ever are "I'm from the government.
And I'm here to help you.
Yeah,
No thanks.
I think that's it.
Well, that's what we have in the news. We're going to come right back and put Chris in the driver's seat on the red light camera scam right after this. Hi, welcome back to Cars in Context. I'm your host, John Clor. Today we're talking to Chris Sawyer of thevirtualdriver.com. Chris, again, thanks for coming by. Today we're talking about a very, very important topic, something that I've just noticed a few weeks ago when I was driving up Harper Avenue from like 9 Mile to 13 Mile. I noticed all these cameras up on the intersections, and I started thinking to myself, is this the intrusion of the red light
They're
cameras?
not all that. Some of them are gantry cameras for emergency vehicles.
Right.
But
And that's the question I think we're
This
going
state has
let's
not
try to
wanted
solve
these.
this, folks. We're going to talk about the red light cameras, and they're very popular down in the southeast, in the east, and all the Smile states. Really, they're coming to the Midwest, and we want to expose the red light cameras for what they really are. First of all, Chris, let's talk about the technology. What is a red light camera? What does it do, and how does it?
It's basically taking a video of the intersection,
Okay.
and it's against a time code, and it's looking at where the cars are. It knows from the time code by the way that the traffic lights are set up, and also a digital input into the camera itself.
Okay.
That the light is either red, yellow, or green. So it has the timing on all of those things, and it's looking at all the vehicles. It's much like the television show Person of Interest.
Oh yeah.
Where it knows where you are as you're going through that area.
So if it will know that the light is dead red and you have entered that intersection after it turned dead red, and then it'll do what? Like snap a photo?
It'll snap a photo of the license plate. In Michigan, that means the back of the car.
The driver's face.
In most other states, it's the face of the driver and the front plate. That's why we have been able to hold a lot of this
don't have
off
front
for
plates.
so long. Right.
And then your lovely DMV will send you a nice little ticket
They'll
in the
send you
mail.
a ticket in the mail. Exactly. Well, this is small potatoes compared to what England wants to do. England wants to go to the whole point of having satellites control the speed of your vehicle
my
where
goodness.
you are on the road,
Oh, okay.
which is
So,
just
well,
nuts. But
the technology aside, let's talk about, folks, why the reasons why this technology is being implemented all across the country. The reason they say is because a red light, someone running a red light causes a horrific crash. People are killed, and that does happen across the U.S. So this is all in the name, Chris. It's all for safety's sake. Is that true?
I call BS on that one.
Okay.
I
So
call
what you're saying is
total BS on that
the
one.
safety of putting a camera at the red light intersection. They tell you, folks, we're here to protect you, and we're going to make your
Right.
driving experience safer by this camera. And really, Chris,
Let's go this logically,
All right.
which is hard for us. But the whole idea of the red light camera is to keep you from running the red light and potentially T-boning the car coming through the intersection.
okay,
Now, how high is that in the level of things that happen?
not real high.
Not real high. Absolutely. It's way down the list. By doing this, you basically you get a revenue stream. going.
Wait a second. You're saying that the theory of safety is really a theory, and then the reality is that they're going into these communities with red light cameras to make money?
Uh-huh. And let me tell you why. Years before we had all this technology, the way that you would set up the timing on a road was you would say that, let's say you're 45 miles an hour, that's the speed limit.
Right.
Every light would be set up so that if you cross the first light green at 45 miles an hour, you would cross the next light green at 45 miles an hour. If you were between
Traffic
43 and 45, you would hit it. If you were over 45, you didn't hit it.
Right.
You would get a red light. So what that did was that naturally created a cadence to the road.
In your mind, there's a pause,
Exactly.
and that, you know how long that yellow is.
Exactly what to do. And if you were going too fast, you were going to start hitting red lights. You would slow down. If you're going too slow, you'd speed up, and you'd help traffic flow.
Okay, it makes sense. Total sense.
Now you bring up the technology, you say, oh, well, we can take care of all this. Well, it doesn't work as well as that natural cadence did. And you can play this little trick, because if you look right now, the time between yellow and red is 4 seconds.
Okay. And
lower
our mind, we're programmed to that.
We're programmed for it.
We're programmed for that.
Anybody who's been driving for any length of time knows it's 4 seconds.
Yellow, you know how much time you have.
And you also know that if you've got that guy coming up behind you and he looks a little too close, you can get through that light without hitting anybody, because you know that cadence there. Well, it even happened in my city. They came to our traffic safety guys. Actually, our traffic safety guy came to the other guys and said, hey, we need to do this in Wade, Oakland, and Macomb counties. And we need to do this because this is a problem. And it's not a problem.
No, of course not.
And the guy in Macomb County who was from New Jersey said, which is where a lot of this started, said,
Right.
Absolutely not. And I give him all the credit in the world for
I can't believe
this.
that.
He said it was nothing but a financial scam. It was ripping. It was an unvoted on tax against the citizenry of the city. And what they did was they lowered the time from 4 to 3 seconds, and what that did was that meant that 60% of the drivers who were going through, who would have made it before then, were now getting tickets.
Unbelievable. That is, I mean, so that 4-second interval that you have in your head, folks, you're driving, all of a sudden, if you see it, first you see a sign, red light cameras ahead, and then you're thinking, so it makes you nervous, you're on edge, then something happens in your mind, that interval's gone, so as you get to that light you thought you were going to be able to make, it goes red, and then so you have 2 choices.
Right. And then
Go get a ticket.
Then what it does is it causes you to change your thinking. So now you see a red light or a yellow light, you're immediately going to hit the brakes, and you're going to cause that guy behind you, who's probably still on a normal timing thought process. He's going to hit you, and more. And the funny thing about this safety measure has increased the number of rear-end accidents tenfold.
So the safety cameras go in and the accidents go up. This is the exact opposite effect. Before, police could target an area that may have had a couple incidents of red light running or an accident there by sitting off to the side of the road, watching people. He could see if you went through the red light.
You know what's even more effective than that?
What's that?
Putting up those signs that say your speed is.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Way more effective.
But now, folks, they're going to put red light cameras on every intersection, as if there was a problem at every intersection.
Because there's not a problem. The only problem is that, well, gosh, we got to pay money for this stuff. How do we get money?
This is unbelievable, Chris. So what you're saying now is and I've read 2 studies. One is that the accident rate is actually higher. You're causing them to be less safe. The other thing was the companies that come in and pitch this to your city council, they're saying, well, we'll put this up for you, we'll run it all, and we take 60 to 80% of the take, and we'll give you the 20%. And they're all happy because they have extra revenue. Chris, this is nothing but a money grab.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, we're seeing it everywhere. Politicians don't work for us, we work for them.
Right, and you didn't vote it in.
You didn't vote it in, you have no say on this.
This doesn't tell you to show up every once in a while to your city council meeting.
Read the local paper,
read the paper, find out,
yep.
and then you voice your concern, because when someone says they're from the government, they're here to help you, they're definitely not here to. Chris, really, we appreciate you throwing the spotlight on this red light scam.
Glad to do
which
it.
is really nothing but something that we have to speak up as drivers, and it's time for us to make our voices heard. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I know you can't believe it, but it's time for another one of our very favorite segments
Yes.
on Cars and Context. Folks, it's time for Pride in My Ride. Now, this particular Pride in My Ride person I happen to know really well. This is my son, Jeremy Clor. He lives in Harper Woods. I know. Well, I see him every once in a while. He drives a 2004 Ford Mustang, a 40th anniversary V6 coupe. He searched the world over for this gunmetal gray Mustang. Once he got a promotion at work, he wanted his own car. He loved the SN95 version of this body style. He went out and found it. He then, of course, immediately bought the Mach 1 wheels that you see.
I was going to say,
on
those
the
aren't
car.
standard.
No, those are Mach 1 wheels. It came with the spoiler on it. Folks, he did want the GT V8, but he had to settle for the V6 because with the GT's insurance rates would have been more than the car payment. Thank you.
Hey, you know, if he had red light camera, he'd
Yeah,
be
or
okay, yeah.
progressive plug-in, they'd certainly give him a discount. So folks, thank you, Jeremy, for sending me your picture. If you have pride in your ride and you'd like to see you and your car on the air, send me a note about why you have that pride in your ride and a JPEG photo to jclor@carsincontext.com, and we'll be sure to get it on the air. You know, I know this sounds impossible, but it's quite possible that Lauren Parrott, our manager right here on the floor, WMTV, has some viewer mail.
It's the only reason I come to the show, because you get to see Lauren.
Lauren, is it possible that Cars in
I don't come
Context
here for
has
you.
viewer mail today?
Yes, you do have viewer mail.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Lauren. We appreciate Lauren gives us the best viewer mail. Folks, keep sending it in. We want to answer your question on the air. I'll tell you what, Chris, why don't you take the first one, okay?
I should, because it's got my name to it.
Okay. Thanks, Lauren.
This one comes to us from Joe P. of Grosse Pointe, who watches Cars in Context on Comcast Cable Channel 915.
That means we're in HD.
HD, that's right. Oh, God. I knew I should put makeup on.
Just go ahead.
Anyway, he says, Dear Chris, saw your coverage of the Detroit Auto Show where you and Mr. Clor,
Well, thank you. You could say John, but that's...
discussed Toyota's Furia concept.
I remember that. Yeah.
that was a horrible paint job
That was part 2
on
of
that car.
our auto show.
That's right. And he says, as I recall, you bet John that the new Toyota Corolla was going to look very much like that concept car, while John all but said, no way. You did. Now that you've both seen the all-new 2014 Corolla,
I have.
Who won the bet?
I have seen the new Corolla. Ooh, geez. First of all, folks,
I'm enjoying this one.
I bet, Chris, that they wouldn't make it that crazy looking, but who won the bet? I would say...
we both did, actually.
Yeah, it wasn't quite, Chris. I'll defer to you.
They got rid of the horrible atomic baby poop paint job.
It was a horrific.
It was, oh God.
The car looked so crazy.
And the fender flares weren't quite as big and stuff like that.
Basically, Toyota wanted you to think that their vanilla cars are going to look more stylish and expressive because Hyundai and Kia have been doing a great job. Ford's been doing a great job. Chevy's, the kids like new, fresh style, and that car was getting old. So. We'll call a draw on this one. Nobody pays off the bet, but I will handle my mail differently.
You've never paid off my bet anyway. So
this letter comes to us from Justin B., who lives in St. Clair.
Justin Bieber?
Is it Justin Bieber? Oh, thanks for watching.
Didn't know he lived here.
No, he's not, because this one, he's watching us on Channel 10. And if it was Justin Bieber, he would be watching us on Cars in Context TV on YouTube. But Justin B., thanks for this question. He says, Dear John, got a Dear John letter. I saw a report that said most of the automakers will be moving to increased use of aluminum to help meet the new 15 EPA standard. Yeah, the lightweights, you got to go lighter to get better fuel economy.
16 is the first year of the new standard.
He says, while this makes sense to me, I also saw a report that seemed to claim more new steels are going to be used to answer with better weight savings. Plus, they have the advantage of meeting the new crash standards, which are going up even more. So the question is, Mr. Clor, who is right? Who is right? Is it aluminum or is it steel? Well, did you see Man of Steel? No, folks, it's both. I would say the answer to this, Justin, is they're going to use more aluminum, and they're going to use these new lightweight steels, but I think it's whoever can deliver the lightweight savings with the best cost.
Well, it's going to ramp up, and it's going to go back. We've seen this before. You're going to see the aluminum coming in pretty hot and heavy here. Rumor is that the next F-150 has got an aluminum body on it. Hard to say. You'll never see an aluminum frame on that vehicle because it's got to stand up to some really tough stuff. But as you get more of these advanced steels in and people are used to using them and they can see what they can do with them, they'll bring those back in more. They'll backfill as you get a little farther. So by, let's 2015 to 2020, you'll see a big increase in aluminum. 2020 beyond, you're going to start seeing the steel come back in. Even about 18 is going to start coming back in droves. And the value in terms of dollar of steel is actually going to go up.
Wow.
Because these are going to be more expensive materials.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Just wait till you see what cars cost in the future.
Yeah, that was a good question. Now, aluminum bodies are harder to repair. There's all kinds of things. So we're going to be watching this closely for you here on Cars in Context, folks. If you have a question that you'd like answered on the air by one of our experts, like Chris Sawyer, send it to me, jclor@carsincontext.com, and we'll be sure to bring it onto the show. Or you can always call the War Memorial. Chris, can you believe it? We're out of time.
No!
It's true. But Lisa, you can always come back. We'll have another great show for you. Again, thanks for joining us here on Cars in
Welcome,
Context.
John. Enjoyed
We
it.
appreciate it. And folks, we appreciate you tuning in. So remember, until next time, remember that knowledge is power. I'm your host, John Clor. Thanks for watching.